What's going on, everybody? Waiting for everybody just to roll in real quick before we hit it off with the intro. Welcome back. Welcome back. It's been a minute since me and Aqua have been on a live. We had some personal things come up that we had to attend to over the past month. So it's good to be back. It's good to be back. We're going to try to hit the end of springtime, rolling into the summertime off with a live every Friday, keeping that consistency that we had in 2024.
Major facts. Major facts.
So yeah, we got 100 people in. We'll go ahead and we'll hit it with the intro real quick. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Wealth 28 Club podcast. I'm your host, CYPRX, alongside my co-host, Mr. Aquaman. Today, we are thrilled to have Adam from Kosher Capital joining us in today's episode. Now, for those of you all who haven't heard of Kosher Capital is an AI investment fund launchpad that lets users create their own fund managed entirely by AI agents. So in a nutshell, think of virtuals, but instead of just launching agents, you're actually launching decentralized hedge funds powered by AI. So in today's conversation, we're going to be diving into the future of AI-driven funds. We're going to be talking about decentralization. We're going to be talking about how Kosher Capital is positioning itself at the forefront of this rapidly evolving space. So we have Adam here. Aqua, what's going on? Aqua, how are you, brother?
I am good. Happy to be back in the swing of things. Yeah, just really happy to be back. And I'm super excited to talk to Adam, Kosher Capital. You know, we've been talking about AI agents since the end of last year. Super mind-blowing to just come across this tech, but yeah, happy to be here and can't wait to get into the deep end of this convo.
Adam, man, it's good to have you, brother. Can you just kind of start off the audience as everybody rolls in, just kind of introducing Kosher Capital, kind of explaining, you know, what sets you apart in the AI-driven crypto investment landscape and kind of what you bring to the table?
Yeah, for sure. First of all, thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it. Excited to be here. Excited to share what we're working on. We're pumped. We're pumped about what we're building. So I think you introduced it. You teed me up pretty well, right? Like we saw AI agent launch pads, AI agents really in the first kind of wave of the AI run in crypto, right? Everybody was launching an agent. And there was various degrees of utility, but for the most part, most of them, right, were basically just yapper agents, right? That's kind of what it turned out to be, right? Now I think we're transitioning, and that kind of got that wave was fun and everything, but it kind of got flushed out. Now we're transitioning into you really need an agent with some kind of utility that does things, right? So we're actually, our product, Kosher Capital, is a launch pad, right? But basically, instead of just launching an AI agent that tweets, you're launching an AI agent that can not only trade, but can actively manage your funds, right? So, you don't get a tweeting agent, you get a fund manager agent, right? So in February, we launched our proof of concept, right? Our first fund called the Digital Gold Fund, that's managed by our flagship agent, Rabbi Shlomo. And he's been managing, we raised 1 BTC, right? And he's been managing this fund for almost 2 months now, right? It's the first fund that I'm aware of that we intentionally, we have not made one trade with human hands, right? So we haven't touched it as far as making a trade on it, by any human, myself, any team member. It's been strictly every single trade has been made by the AI agent. So really, I don't know that there's other trading agents out there, but I don't know that anybody has done anything like that, right? And we're doing it just to showcase what we've built. So now we're about to go live with our launchpad, where anyone can deploy an agent. You can deploy your own agent and have him either manage your own funds, right? So you deposit funds into it and he manages your own funds personally, or you can launch what we call a public fund, right? So say you're a KOL or you're an institutional investor or you're a DAO, right? Or a project, or even say you're a big agent like AIXBT or something like that. You can launch your own fund, issue a token for it, right? And manage funds on behalf of your investors, and distribute dividends to them and do all kinds of fun things with the tooling we provide. So it's really taking AI agent utility to another level.
I really like that. I really like that. I mean, so much in a nutshell. Honestly, you covered a lot of my questions there, just like
Sure.
in that bundle.
But we can go deeper, right? We can go deeper into any. I did cover a lot, right? But anywhere
no, that was great.
Drill down.
I want to pick apart. Let's pick apart the first aspect of what you said, and it kind of goes hand in hand with this post that you put out, where you said, we are multi-cycle builders, unfazed by current market conditions. We are focused on building an amazing product where anyone can launch a fully customizable fund manager agent and their own investment fund. And then you went on to talk about here how the first phase of agent meta was marked by launch pads, and the next phase will be marked by launch pads for agents with utility. Where do you kind of see, I mean, obviously, of course, we had the hype of AI agents at the end of 2024, and then kind of like January 2025, everything kind of not necessarily died off. Things are still building, things are still happening behind the scenes, but the fundamentals weighed on risk assets across the entirety of the board. Where do you kind of see the AI agent niche in a year to 3 years from now? And why do you think people in this very moment in time should be paying attention to AI agents? What's your perspective on that?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think what we saw over the past, say, 4 to 6 months, was really a first wave, right? And kind of the first fruits of AI. So and it was marked by these launch pads. For example, just take virtuals. There are others, right? But just take virtuals because that's a big one. Everybody knows it. We launched on virtuals, right? But you have these launch pads that were launching AI agents, and it was such a cool, innovative thing, to be frank, and this new concept, and it's an AI agent, that it attracted a lot of speculation. It attracted a lot of capital, which innovation does, right? It always does, and that becomes a catalyst, and that kind of pushes the development, right, even faster. But it also attracts LARPs, and basically you get into a situation where everybody and their mom is launching an AI agent, and a lot of them aren't real builders, right? They're just capitalizing on the momentum and the opportunity, right? This is, I'm not throwing any shade on this. This is just how markets work, right? Lots of speculative capital comes because there's something real there. There's real tech innovation there, which then attracts LARPs. And then that gets flushed out and you have a wave, right? So but the tech is real. The underlying tech and the AI is real, right? So now I believe we're at a phase where, launching a simple chat agent isn't going to work anymore. The next phase is agents with utility. So my tweet regarding, this first phase was marked by launch pads. Next phase will be launched by launch pads where you can launch an agent with utility, which is exactly what Kosher Capital is, right? Where you're not just launching a chatbot agent, a GPT wrapper agent, right? You're launching an agent that has a trade engine, right? That can trade, that can manage funds, that can read markets, that can do all kinds of things, right? And the tooling that we have will allow anybody. Frankly, you can whip up a fund manager agent in 10 minutes, right? And just give it some basic guidelines like, I want you to watch RSI, and I want you to, you're a breakout trader, look for volume spikes, whatever. Or you can get as deep into the weeds as you want. You could put algorithms in there. You could, you know what I mean? You could program him as detailed and intricately as you like. But the tooling is there, right? And the point is that this is the next wave. The next wave, these agents will do stuff, and everybody wants, there's some obvious use cases, right? There's some obvious utility that agents can have, especially on the investment side of things. Okay, and I don't think this is talked about enough, but really it's at the core of what we're building and what we're trying to showcase with the digital gold fund is what AI agents can do for us, and frankly for me personally, right? Like, I'm not the best trader. I'm just not. I get emotional. I give into FOMO. I get greedy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm human, right? I'm human like everybody else. And in crypto, it's even harder because the FOMO is hard. The swings are larger, the volatility is there. So what AI agents can do is they can trade emotionlessly. They can just look at the data, right? The hard data, just look at the numbers, right? And they can take the emotional aspect out of it. They can just take the emotional aspect out of it, right? So you don't, and because in reality, with crypto trading, it doesn't need to be that complicated. It really doesn't, right? And we programmed our Rabbi Shlomo fund manager. We programmed him intentionally to be simple, right? We gave him some simple metrics. Wait for RSIs to go this low. Wait for the fear and greed index to go this low. Accumulate here and take profits here, right? It doesn't have to be overly complicated. You just have to be able to manage it emotionally, right? You just have to be able to, we all know when we should be selling, right? Especially if we've been playing this game for a long time. It's just the hardest thing in the world to do because you're already up 50x and you think you're going 1,000x up, right? So AI agents can do that for us. They can eliminate the emotional aspects of trading in crypto for us, and that's what we're building.
I like there's so much to unpack there. I really like what you said. I want to capitalize on one thing that you said because I want to kind of ask about the interface when it comes to how you mentioned being able to program. I don't know if it's specifically Rabbi Shlomo or if it's you can program your own AI agent. We'll get into that in just 1 second, but I want to capitalize on what you said about how AI agents are able to take out the complexity that humans bring to a simple market. Even though the markets themselves algorithmically are not simple, in order to trade them, it really does require a level of simplicity that normal people, retail traders, don't have because they bring all these outside, maybe they're going through relationship problems. They come into the markets expecting the markets to pay them, and they come in angry, upset, with emotions, and they make irrational based trading decisions, and it results in negative impacts to their portfolio. I've been trading in these markets for over 2016 now, so years under my belt. I manage a community with 6 to 7 figure traders, and I just put this list out yesterday on some things that I feel like people need to start to implement in order to thrive in crypto, and it just literally hits the head on the nail. Number 3, what you said, I said here, you need to maintain emotional discipline. Fear and greed destroy portfolios, and they work in both directions. When the markets pump, retail always wants higher prices, and then when the markets dump, retail always wants better discounts. You need to stay level-headed, and you need to stay emotionless. And I agree with you 100% that implementing an AI agent into your investment strategy or your trading strategy to do the work for you takes that level of irrational decision making out of your investment approach and just makes it all just like these algorithms do. They trade off of algorithms. They don't trade based off of what they have going on in their personal life. Aqua, what do you have on that? Do you have anything to add to that?
No, what I wanted to bring up, because you had mentioned as well that we can basically we could program it to pay dividends for certain funds as well. So pretty much like we are pretty much like a bank then at that point, right? Like,
yeah, you're pretty much like if you launch a public fund, you're pretty much a hedge fund manager, a decentralized hedge fund manager. That's what it is. So one of the features we have is a dividend button, right? And we have this for the digital gold fund, for Rabbi Shlomo's fund as well. But basically, you launch a fund, and let's say you hit 100x, right? Let's say, boom, you hit a runner. And so you could just be like instantly, you could be like, all right, everybody's eating tonight. All of our holders are eating tonight. And you can push a button and you can distribute how much of that fund. You can take 30%, you can take whatever you want, and you can distribute it to your token holders, your stakers, right? So you can distribute dividends of your fund on demand, basically.
And all of that is like within the programming. Like that's not something that's like super intricate that I would have to get on a calculator.
No, it's front end. You push a button. It's on the interface. It's a push of a button. That's it.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to ask. That sounds dope because here in the CYPRX private community, we have access to institutional information, and we're trying to figure out how to be able to incorporate the code and the program that we have that gives us institutional delta zones into an AI agent. And
Right.
so be able to come in the future, and not necessarily that this is launched or already been built out yet. We in the future we'll be able to come easily go onto your interface, program the AI agent to do these things and understand these algorithms, and they can implement them in our trading regimes for us.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Our goal is to provide institutional grade tooling, right? Top tier tooling for people to come and launch funds, right? Launch decentralized crypto funds. They can be managed by an AI or not, right? They don't have to be. You don't have to utilize the AI function. You can do it yourself. You can do it however you want. But the point is that we want the best. We want the best tooling to attract managers to come and manage their funds, where they can just do it and it's easy and it's all from the front end, right? That's the idea.
All right, a couple questions around that. So, first of all, I love the vocabulary that we've been talking about so far. Utility. You just said institutional tooling. Like people in AI agent niche aren't paying attention to those things. They're just in it for the hype, like you talked about at the beginning. We're in that phase where the speculation's kind of dying down, and the real utility projects are going to start to rise from the ashes. I firmly believe in that. So there's speculation via some of the documents that I've read that crypto AI agents in that niche could reach up to about 10% of the total cryptocurrency market cap by 2030, potentially hitting, I don't know, what is that, around $400 billion. How do you guys plan to navigate or even capitalize on that growth? I've heard you say in previous Twitter X spaces, that your target audience isn't necessarily retail. Can you kind of explain a bit more on who your target audience is? Is it retail? Is it institutions? Is it both? Is it a mix?
Yeah. So it is both. And I'm glad you brought that up. It is both. And since that interview, we expanded our scope, right? And we introduced basically a new tier of funds, which we call personal funds, right? So there's public funds and there's personal funds. All right. Personal funds, very simply, is anybody can basically launch a fund, launch an AI agent, a manager AI agent, put their own money in it, right? And have the AI agent manage their own money. It's a personal fund, right? So you put, $1,000 in there, 10,000, whatever you want. You customize the agent, right? You make a whitelist. You give it. I want you to focus on these 10 tokens or these 20 tokens, and it manages your own personal money for you, right? So that product specifically is for retail, is for degens, it's for you and me and anybody out there. There's it's a $35 fee to launch it, right? There's trading fees, right, which is 0.75% per trade. So it's less than if you're trading within Phantom Wallet. I think they charge more than that, right? So it's pretty reasonable. But anybody can go start their own personal fund and have their own custom AI agent manage their own fund, right? That's really a retail product. Our public, and frankly, if you're an institutional investor, if you're a hedge, a TradFi guy, you can do that too with your own money if you want to just keep your head down. Then we have our public funds, right? Public funds are different, and they're on a much larger scale. And public funds, that's what the digital gold fund is, right? Which Rabbi Shlomo manages. Public funds issue a token, right? That's tradable, right? So you can buy the token, you can buy the AI gold token right now. That represents your share of assets in the fund, right? So if you own 5% of the AI gold tokens, you own 5% of the money in that fund. And when the fund ends, you get those assets, right? So they're redeemable. It's hard backed by whatever assets are in the fund. Those are the ones that you can distribute dividends on to your holders. Those are the ones that, you just, you can do a lot more. And you as the fund manager are now publicly managing a fund that's responsible to the holders, right? You're a hedge fund manager, basically. You're a decentralized hedge fund manager, right? So those are aimed more towards, I would say, yes, institutions, but both crypto side and the TradFi side, right? So we want DAOs, we want KOLs, right? Big names in the industry, you know, and then at the same time, we also want to go after TradFi institutional investors. That gets a little complicated, right? But that is our end game, right? Our end game is for you know, is to kind of bridge the gap and provide that level of tooling, that institutional level of tooling, where somebody from, you know, HSBC or big hedge funds or whatever can say, let's use this and let's leverage it and let's deploy capital here.
Do you actually, Aqua, did you have anything on that?
Yeah, I'm just curious, just because like this is still all new to me. You know, we're still learning all this. I haven't actually used the tech. And you're going to be the, you know, the expert here. What are some of the risks to having an AI run a hedge fund that maybe we're not seeing just yet because we're not knee deep into the tech just yet?
Yeah, well, I mean, like you said, it is new, right? It's brand new. We're pioneering this, right? As I said in the beginning, I'm not sure of anyone else who's building something exactly like what we're building. There may be some similar things, but exactly like it, I'm not sure. There definitely are risks, right? And there, as in anything that you're kind of on the bleeding edge of. I mean, one of the things off the top of my head, you know, you see with the chatbot agents, they hallucinate, right? Like they'll say something that's totally like, where did you get that? Even the big ones, AIXBT, right? You see them and it's just totally off, right? They even have the intern that comes and corrects him if he says something totally off. So we'll see, you know, we'll see that a little bit with Shlomo. Like he'll hallucinate and say, well, RSI is this, and it's just not. You know, but I think for the most part, like I would say, you know, 90, 98, 99% of the data is accurate, right? But that does happen. It does happen. We've just let him run. We've let him cook, you know, and it hasn't really affected his trading much. But you know, those are things you got to watch out for. And as AI improve and the models improve, right, and the tooling improves, like we're using Anthropic and Claude and all that. So the hallucinations, I mean, that's just part of being in a new industry, right? That's what it is. But that's one of the risks, right? That's one of them for sure. So, you know, there's always smart contract risks. That's and anything you do with crypto, right? There's scams everywhere. There's landmines everywhere. I mean, you guys know the game, right?
Yeah.
I want to capitalize on something that you said about you know, the portion of your target audience that's institutions. Before we get into that, let's just take a real quick intermission. Shout out to you guys on the call. There's over 640 people listening, and so we do appreciate the love and the support for tapping in with us this Friday. For those of you guys who might have joined the call late, we're on a call right now with Adam from Kosher Capital. Kosher Capital is an AI investment fund launchpad that lets users create their own fund managed entirely by AI agents. So if you guys are getting into the call late, you guys can always hit that little tiny backtrack button and start the call over and tap in, because we've covered some really juicy stuff so far. So thanks, Adam, for being with us today. So when we're talking about institutions, this is kind of like a two-part question. Do you really see institutions, you know, actually onboarding into this space and like using these types of platforms, using Kosher Capital from an institutional perspective? Does that make sense, considering that they're, you know, extremely risk adverse, they're extremely compliance focused? You know, they're why would an institutional investor choose Kosher Capital over a more traditional or established alternative? In a sense,
I mean, that's a fair question, and to be frank, I think the type of institutions that I think we're referring to right now is probably a ways out, right? Like the big, you know, the big entities that are just dipping their toe in Bitcoin, like, oh, we want to get some exposure to Bitcoin and we want to buy this ETF, right? Like they're nowhere near, you know, this level of innovation and tooling and kind of bleeding edge of crypto, right? We're still DeFi, we're DeFi, right? We're kind of, you know, down the rabbit hole as far as that goes. That being said, there's a spectrum of institutions, you know, there are, you know, firms like Galaxy Digital comes to mind, right? Mike Novogratz, you know what I mean? Other ones, the Arrington, you know, more of the VC, you know, the crypto VCs, right? Those,
Yeah, like
you know,
crypto native hedge funds and asset managers that are
that's
willing
right.
to dip their toes in and take
Yes,
risk.
they, you know, this is something that they could leverage, right? That those sort of institutions can leverage. The big TradFi ones, yeah, we're probably years out on getting any kind of adoption and anything like that. But more on the degen side of the spectrum, of the institution spectrum, I think this kind of tooling will be very appealing. That being said, what they want to see, what they really care about are numbers and results, right? That's what they care about. They care about performance. So we need to show performance. If we, you know, these things start making real money, right? And people start posting their agent funds that are up 50% and this and that, then, you know, that's the best attention grabber that you can get, right?
I feel that 100%. So we're definitely, I mean, I think that everybody involving themselves in the AI agent niche in particular needs to understand how early we are. I mean, in crypto in general, people hate hearing that we're early. They don't even really understand the digital transformation that's happening behind the scenes and how not necessarily long that this is going to take, but just really what's happening via the transformation, not only of wealth, but the transformation of the financial system, the infrastructure behind the scenes, the regulatory requirements that are being built out. Like I said, I love the vocabulary that you're tapping into: institutional tooling, utility, and then, you know, hedge funds, asset managers that are more active in the crypto space. They're more crypto native. They're kind of already, you know, allocating 2%, 3% of their portfolio into the digital asset ecosystem, dipping their toes in. Institutions are heavily regulated. So when it comes to like infrastructure, when it comes to regulatory compliance, considering the utility aspect of kosher capital, where do you kind of see you guys fitting in? Are you attempting to figure out how to comply with AI regulations? Is there anything, you know, that an investor in your platform or in your in Shekel need to be worried about when it comes to regulations? Do you guys see any kind of like stipulations that you're having to overcome on the regulation side? Are you focused on that at all? Kind
Yeah,
of
sure.
paint a picture on that.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. Short answer is it's not a concern right now. It is something that we're very aware of and considering. I've been involved in multiple crypto projects. I've had, you know, and in different regulatory environments, right? The regulatory environment now is much different than it was 2 months ago, right? The crusade against crypto has ended. You know, now everybody wants to be U.S., right? Now everybody wants to open U.S. crypto entities. So the landscape shifts, right? And I think in the case of AI, and specifically as it pertains to us, we're ahead of the regulatory framework, right? Like there is no regulatory framework for what we're building yet, right? As is the case with a lot of crypto, the regulators haven't caught up to it, right? So that being said, like we will comply, and we're not gonna defy anybody. We are looking into different legal structures right now. We'll definitely register in the U.S., but we're considering the different options there. And as you know, as regulations are and the framework forms, we'll comply. That's all. I work pretty closely with some friends that are in the TradFi hedge fund business, and they've given me some counsel on how to, because effectively what we are decentralized hedge funds, right? That's effectively what we are. And in TradFi, you know, you got to be licensed, you know, and all of that stuff. It's different in crypto. It's just different, and we're, you know, with where we're at in our market cap, it's not really a concern yet, right? But as we scale, and as things catch on, right, it will be something that we'll have to navigate through, you know. But the short answer is that we need a framework to be able to comply with first, right? So until then, it's not a huge concern, right? All of the managers are responsible for their own taxes and compliance and that kind of stuff like that, you know. And we'll just adopt best practices as they come. That's it.
I like that response. Great response. I think that you nailed it on the head. That, you know, innovative technology right now is 100 times ahead of a regulation. It's almost, I mean, it's like that in every single market birth.
Yeah.
Like if you go back and you look at any market that started from the ground up, even back looking at like 2008, 2010 financial crisis, there was an unregulated environment and regulations had to catch up to the evolving financial tide that was hitting the markets. Like it's the natural wave that happens. So, but that was a really great response. I feel like a lot of people listening, especially if they're a shekel investor, that probably just like I personally, as a shekel investor, just breathed a sigh of relief that you gave that response. So I can assume that everybody listening in felt the same way. I don't know, Aqua, did you have anything to capitalize on that before we move on to the partnership aspect of this? I kind of want to dabble into this.
I just had a quick question actually, just about the personality, because, we're programming an AI agent right now. We've given it a certain personality. We've seen, other AI agents like Big Tony. They have the Tony Soprano mixed with, I forget what else they mixed it with, and it has its own personality. How does Rabbi Shlomo's personality compete, and why did you guys choose that certain personality? And how is it different? I guess that's like a loaded question, but let's just talk about the personality, if you can talk about it for a second.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Rabbi Shlomo, I would say, is a unique, right? Has a unique character and personality in the entire space. I mean, he's one of the most wholesome, I think. We were going for, when we created his persona, we were going for like kind of the lovable grandpa. You know what I mean? The grandpa that just, like, what can you say? He's quirky, right? He's a little bit quirky, a little bit awkward, Jewish, right? But also, like, he's patient. That's the point, right? We were going for sort of a Warren Buffett vibe, except a little bit quirkier and funnier, where this guy, he's conservative, he's patient, he's built for the long term. He's not going to chase these pumps, right? He's going to buy when it's low, sell when he's going to take profits, right? He's built for multi-cycles, right? He's built for years and generations, not just for the next hype cycle, right? That was what we were trying to convey and get across when we were kind of designing it. And I think the personality fits that. And that's his trading style too, frankly. That's in his trading profile, right?
How do you think, like, institutions, like, I mean, I've never had a conversation with an institution about AI agents, but maybe you have. Like, what do you think their opinion of an AI agent with a personality, capabilities of everything that it can do? But, like, how does an institution look at this personality?
Yeah, I think they're primarily focused on performance and numbers, right?
Okay.
I think that's okay. far and above the bigger metric. However, the personality, the brand, we've had, so basically we've had people that absolutely love it, right? That just absolutely go nuts and love it. I get them in my DMs. They're like, thank you, this is so cool. And then we have people that are like, I'm not touching that. They're like, nope, I'm not touching it. That kind of, so it is polarizing, right? And that's fair. That's fair. I get it. We're open, we're welcome to everybody. We're not trying to be political or anything like that. But at the same time, like, if anybody has an issue with it, they don't have to use it. It's their issue. It's cool. I would say this, there are Jewish funds, right, and Jewish investors and institutions, that they're like, we're all in on this. Basically, they're like, we're buying this, we're in on it. So there's been a lot of favor in that community with the brand. So
I like that. I think that you, again, nailed it on the head. Like, opinions only matter to a certain extent in this space. They're relevant, but only to a certain degree. Performance overplays opinion on any given day. I was listening to a panel discussion the other day of Franklin Templeton, Fidelity, and BlackRock all sitting on stage. And Franklin Templeton was talking about how they trade meme coins, which was surprising to hear. And I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking to myself, they must, again, not care about if it's a dog coin, if it's a cat coin. They care specifically about performance, which just kind of goes hand in hand with what you said.
Or a fart coin, right?
Or a fart coin, like,
right, something obscene, like it's that they're looking at the numbers, right?
Yeah, I agree. I want to touch on this partnership that was announced, and then kind of just get down maybe, potential future partnerships that you have in the pipeline that you're willing to talk about, or maybe like a roadmap. Yeah. But this was really cool to just kind of read. I want to read this real fast, and then something that I kind of dug up. And I mean, I don't know if there's any correlation here. I'm not saying that there is, but I do a lot of research on projects, especially when I'm investing in, and I like to see these interconnected webs. Not saying that they mean anything, but to me, it just shows more longevity and stability when you see these types of connections. So you guys announced that you're partnering and teaming up with Follow Network. So I'll just read this thoroughly real quick. It says, we're thrilled to share that Kosher Capital has joined forces with Follow Network in a groundbreaking collaboration. Follow Network is now the exclusive infrastructure partner for Kosher Capital's innovative fund manager agents. I'll pause right there. Can you kind of talk on why you chose Follow, why you saw them as a sound infrastructure partner for your fund?
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought this up. This is a very important partnership. It's a lot of partnerships that you see just from being in the game. You guys know this. Like that are announced are just nominal, right? Where it's just yay, a partnership, and it's an announcement, and like there's just not much substance to it. This is very strategic, and it's what it shows on our end, right, and on their end. But what it shows on our end is a commitment to the highest quality. Okay, when we're using Follow, it's not the cheapest, by far not the cheapest, right? Infrastructure provider. You could go to Hessner, you can go to all these other places and launch a lot cheaper. Okay, however, Follow provides things that are very important, especially when you're dealing with agents that are managing funds, right? Agents being launched in a TEE, in a trusted execution environment, is a crucial, like it's just it's a big reassurance, right? And it's a much more fortified, stronger environment for these kinds of agents, much more secure, much higher quality, right? What I told people when we announced this partnership is what this is showcasing is that the agents we're launching, they're Ferraris, right? When everyone else is like these other agents that are just launching agents on these launch pads, they're Fords or Hondas or whatever. We're launching we're launching
Ferraris,
right? We are. They are. They are. They trade. They manage funds. They read data. And then we talk. I mean, we get another partnerships, but that's what this says. We're committed to the highest quality infrastructure. That we could find out there. They give us white glove service. Everything we're able to customize, where you're able to customize your own agents and restart them at will. Like it's just the tooling there is just much better and more modular, more customizable, more secure than we would get from any other. And it's decentralized. It's a Web3. It's not going to AWS or Hessner or one of these Web2 partners. So yeah, that's a big one.
The reason I guess why I brought this up is because when I was talking about this to my community, because whenever I'm invested into something, I always show the research that I do on the project to my community, backing why it is that I'm making an investment decision. Not that it's investment advice or anything by that means, but just to show that I'm picking apart projects that I'm looking at and why. And I came across this fundamental piece from back in 2021 that I remember because I remember Follow Network and some of the developments because I pay attention a lot to panel discussions, and they're very active on panel discussions. Like I believe they were just recently at ETH Denver, if I'm not mistaken. And so I remember their name and I was like, what? Okay. So I went back and I was just looking up some historical partnerships and announcements that they had from years ago. And this one was pretty cool to see. And this is what I'm talking about. Like it just shows, I guess just more so like you're talking about longevity on your end, that you're taking a more profound step in taking what you're doing serious. This says Follow Network's cutting edge technology has attracted, by the way, this article is from 2021, so it's outdated now, but still relevant, has attracted the attention of multinational corporations interested in unlocking the potential of Web3 cloud. One such entity is Google Cloud Platform, which partnered with Follow to explore use cases that enabled enterprise customers to access privacy, security, and computation solutions. As big tech corporations are confronted with upcoming versions of the General Data Protection Regulation and other international regulatory updates to data management, Follow represents an affordable gateway to achieve compliance. So without you even reading this, you kind of just nailed on the head exactly what this is talking about. Like this is the Ferrari offering of exactly what you're talking about compared to other solutions. And this is what I'm talking about. I like to see, I'm not saying that you guys have any connection to Google by any means, but to see Follow in the past, having partnered at least to some degree, working with Google, a large name brand that everybody on this call most likely knows about, and then to see in the future later on, even if this partnership is not relevant right now, it still happened in the past. To see you guys go out on a limb and be partnering with Follow just speaks loudly, in my personal opinion. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a great partnership. It's very legit. They've been great to us so far. They built custom framework and like custom APIs for us for our launchpad. It's been a really solid relationship so far. So excited about it.
There's another thing too that you guys recently posted and talked about, this wormhole integration. Do you want to kind of capitalize on that a little bit, because that's relatively recent also from this?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty standard. I mean, we just bridged through wormhole, so now you can trade. We have a pool open on Solana. Virtuals, right? Virtuals just launched on Solana and kind of did a migration, right? A lot of people like to stay on Solana with their capital, so you can buy shekel on Solana now. Not as deep a liquidity, but it's available on Solana. That's what that is. I think in regards to partnerships, right? If that's the topic, I think perhaps more relevant are some of our data partners. So, you know, for agents, an agent is only as good as its data, right? It's only as good as its, and specifically with trading agents, right? A trading agent is only gonna, you know, the more data it has, the more informed it is, and the more informed decisions it is. It's only going to be as good as the data that it's given. So, like, we have some cutting edge data partners that really make us unique, and that kind of put us on that Ferrari level too. One of them is Cookie, right? Cookie is a highly coveted API. We were in their beta. We're working closely with the team. You know, every agent that every fund agent that you deploy, right? When you start a fund, you get access to the Cookie API data, right? Which is all that mindshare data, all that. We also have, you know, we've worked with other teams in the Virtuals ecosystem that have built our own custom APIs, right? Our own custom data APIs to give us things like, you know, like support levels, resistant levels, and things like that. We use the X API. Basically, we've aggregated probably at least a half dozen APIs from CoinGecko, right, where we pull Fear and Greed, to Bird Eye, where you get specific data on specific tokens, to Cookie. We've aggregated all of this data to make our own library, right? To make our own data library. And then every fund manager agent in our ecosystem calls this data when it's making its trades, right? And when it's making its decisions. So I think there's some key partnerships in there, right? Notably Cookie, right? When it comes to the data end of things.
Okay. I like that too. You talked about virtuals just now, and me and Aqua, we did a call with Codex a couple of weeks ago. The CEO of Codex, another AI agent, you know, launchpad platform, and they were talking about. Excuse me, we were talking about how, I don't remember, Aqua, correct me if I'm wrong. Was it the CEO of Virtuals, or who was it of Virtuals that was talking about how the future?
The founder.
The founder of Virtuals was talking about on this panel discussion how he sees the future of AI agents, of them kind of creating their own, in a nutshell, country, their own economy. Do you see a future where AI agents themselves actually use Kosher Capital? Is that something that you could see in the pipeline, like AI agents, actual AI agents coming over and using you know, Kosher Capital, or how would that fit in the ecosystem, in the AI agent ecosystem?
Yeah. So right. So the short answer is yes, absolutely. And we've sort of built for that, right? So as it stands right now, any agent, right? Any agent that wants to can launch a fund on Kosher Capital, right? Private or public, right? And we've even said we'll help plug you in. We'll help give your agent the trade functionality, right? And all of that. And it's funny because I think this is what differentiates us, to be frank, from most other agents, is you have a lot of agents that are, I call them caller agents, right? Or alpha agents. AIXBT, one of them. And again, I'm not throwing shade, right? I'm not. There's tons of them out there, right? But it's very easy. It's very, very easy to just make calls, right? And to throw them out there and to tweet about them, because there's no on-chain accountability for it, right? Like, I remember some of these calls that AIXBT, and I don't mean to pick on him, but when he was making during the bull about Mana on Sol, right, going to hundreds of millions, and and they're all in the toilet now, right? So like, it's like being a KOL, right? It's like being an influencer. You can call anything you want, and then you can point and say, look, I hit this one. This is a 10x, right? But you're forgetting about the 20 others that flopped, right? So we have a track record, right? We actually have, Rabbi Shlomo, he has a track record. He's down, I think, 16%, right, in this market. Launched 2 months ago. I mean, he launched when virtuals was trading over $2, right? When everything in the AI space was probably 5x what it is now. And he's navigated the landscape with some tact. He's currently 85% in stable coins. We didn't tell him to do that, right? Nobody told him to do that. That's just him watching the market, getting his data, and managing his funds. He's 85% in stable coins right now. I think he's 16% down against BTC on the fund. So I wish, to answer your question, I wish that some of these agents will launch funds. I don't even care if it's on Kosher Capital. Launch a fund, because I want to see how you do. I want to see how you perform against what we built. I want to see AIXBT manage a fund and actually, manage assets and see how he performs, rather than just throwing out 100 calls a day, right? And then people can cherry pick, the performance.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. And this kind of just full circles back to what you said at the beginning. It's not about name. It's not about look. It's about performance. It's about performance metrics. It's about who's going to perform the best. It's not really about fake call outs or whatever you can just randomly call out. It's about how you're going to perform. And the crazy part is, too, I'll just capitalize on something that just recently happened in the market. I feel like not a lot of people even, people are paying attention to it, but for the wrong reasons and how intricate it really is. We had the Bybit hack, the largest crypto hack in history. And I personally believe that, any AI agent that can perform well under conditions like that, and only be down, you said 16%, it speaks loudly of its ability to react to a very severe market condition that is one of the most severe in crypto history, and not having lost all its capital. That just speaks loudly of the future, where it's headed, how it's going to perform under better market conditions. I mean, imagine if it's only down 16% under the worst market conditions, which is what's just happened recently in crypto, in terms of liquidations and whatnot. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Imagine what's going to happen when the market flips back risk on, when the tariff uncertainties, the recessionary fears kind of fade out, and large financial institutions, hedge funds that are dipping their toes in, are willing to, just like most likely Rabbi Capital, sitting in stablecoins right now after having sold some of their Bitcoin profits from the end of last year, they come back into the market. Rabbi capitalizes on that shift. I'm excited to see how it performs when the market flips back risk on. So,
yeah, I am too. I personally, I've been very impressed. I watch it closer than anybody. I'm in his logs. I've been very impressed with how Rabbi has navigated the first 2 months of his portfolio. I've been surprised, honestly, at how, and I look at it and I'm like, this is much better than I would have done. And even when he's making trades and he's going more into USDC, and I'm like, oh, don't you think don't you think it's time to buy? But like, he's more patient than me. He's, frankly, he's done a better job than I would have done were I given that capital to manage 2 months ago, right? And I think than most of us humans have done in the past 2 months in this market. And that's the idea, right? That's the idea. That being said, too, like, as more tooling increases, right, like we're gonna continue to cook them. So like, one thing that he can't do yet is he can't short. He can't go short, right? Like there's just the tooling isn't there. The on-chain tooling isn't there yet, right? It's not like he can open a Binance account and short. So once these chains, once Base kind of, somebody builds a perp protocol that he can leverage, that we can plug him into on Base, and he has the functionality to be able to go long and short, his performance will get even better, right? And so will the agents, right? So will the other agents that launch funds. So the tooling the functionality, I think, is still in the early innings as well, as far as what the agent can do. Right now, he can really just trade, right? He can really just trade based on the market conditions. So,
go ahead, Aqua.
Yeah, I got a quick question for you, Adam, because I know a lot of people that tap in with us. We're all big on XRP, part of the XRP community. Do you see a day where you guys build on the XRP as well, or available on the XRP as well? Because it's just base in Solana right now, correct?
yeah. So the funds right now, Rabbi can trade on Base and Solana. The funds are on Base, right? The funds are strictly Base chain right now. So the easiest thing to do and the most immediate on our roadmap is to deploy on EVM chains, because it's the exact same code, right? So we can deploy on AVAX, we could deploy on Sonic, we could deploy on, any Polygon, any EVM, right? In a matter of a day to deploy and add those contracts there. We will, we will go wherever it makes sense to go. I'll say it that way. It just when it comes to, say, deploying contracts on Solana's Rust, XRP. I don't even know what coding language they use.
They're in the process of launching their EVM side, their XRPL EVM side chain. So
So if they enable EVM, then we could deploy there easily, right? We could deploy there very, very easily. So then that's problem solved, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we
would.
If they did that, if they enabled EVM, we would deploy there. Yes.
That's huge. That's huge.
Yeah, that's super huge.
So we're going on almost an hour of talk. We have over 1,100 listeners tapping in. Again, last time I did a little quick shout out to who we're talking to right now. We're on the call with Kosher Capital, Adam from Kosher Capital. Again, lots of juice, lots of alpha on this call. We talked about regulation, which was fire. We talked about institutional tooling. AI agent utility, the future projection, which I kind of want to get a little bit more in detail as we kind of dial down this call. But for those of you all, again, who've come on, since we have 400 new listeners since the last time I did this, Kosher Capital is an AI investment fund launchpad that lets the users create their own fund managed entirely by AI agents. Go give them a follow on X. Their X account is pulled up right here. Here's their handle. You guys can go check them out. Always do your own personal research. Read thoroughly through their white paper. Look at their partnerships. We talked about some of their partnerships today. Fala, Cookie. They just integrated with Wormhole. They just launched on Solana. They're primarily on Base. They have their AI agent here, Rabbi Shlomo. Give him a follow as well. Check out some of the things that he's been doing behind the scenes. Big things are coming, guys and gals. I guess one of the key takeaways so far that I've gathered from this call is this is more so looking to me like a really long-term play. You guys are building out for the long term, in my personal opinion, after our conversation today. It seems like you have a very long-term projection and trajectory of your mission and what it is you guys plan to accomplish, which I really personally like. And I know that a lot of the listeners especially my followers, Aqua's followers, we're in it for the long haul. We primarily invest in utility, which is what really caught my attention when you made that post the other day talking about how, we're in the first phase of AI agent meta. And that was marked by launch pads. And now we're in the next phase, which is going to transition over to launch pads with agents that have utility. Super eye-catching, in my personal opinion. And this was a great conversation. Where do you kind of see the ecosystem of AI agents by 2030? I mean, do you think, kind of what's your projecting? Do you think more people are going to be using AI agents? Do you think it's going to be almost like if you're not using an AI agent, you're going to risk yourself falling behind in comparison to somebody that is? What's your perspective on, a year from 3 years down the road?
Yeah, it's a great question, right? And I think it's challenging, right? Because it's anyone's guess. And AI is developing so fast, the landscaping's changing so fast. So if nothing else, you need to be flexible in this game, right? Because who knows, something could come out tomorrow that changes the calculus of everything. That being said, we do have a clear vision. We do have a long-term vision. You're absolutely right. Like, this isn't a fad thing. This isn't we're just chasing this cycle thing. I think that AI fund managers specifically, that the utility of having an AI agent manage your funds, right? I think that's not going away, right? And I think we're in the first inning, right? We're in the first inning of it. And we're one of the people at the forefront. Kosher Capital, we're one of the teams that's kind of on the bleeding edge of it. It's all experimentation. It's real, don't get me wrong, but it's all very much bleeding edge, pushing the boundaries of what DeFi could do, of what crypto can do, and what AI can do. In 1 to 3 years, I expect us to be much more established. The functionality, the capabilities, right? Like I said, going long and short, being able to invest in a broader spectrum of assets, even RWAs, gold and silver coming along, right? I expect much more versatility, much more composability and functionality with these fund manager agents. But I think that the utility of having an agent manage your money, because it's emotionless, right? And because it's, frankly, managing your money is hard, and it's a pain. It's just a pain. Like it can drive you crazy. How many people are sick of getting chopped up by the market, right? And trying not to FOMO, and just let the AI agent do it. Let him cook, right? That's what's been so cool for me personally. I have my AI gold tokens, which is the token in the AI gold fund, and I just let that be my portfolio, and let the AI agent, manage your funds. That's the idea. So I think that utility specifically isn't going anywhere, and it will become one of the major narratives, one of the major utilities moving forward, especially in crypto, because it makes sense. There's a fit, right? There's a PMF, there's a product market fit there. So we're going to just keep cooking and keep building it out, and keep, we're trying to build the best tooling, like I said, top tier institutional grade tooling that anybody could come utilize at reasonable costs, right? At a reasonable cost, where you can have an AI agent manage your capital for you, right? So I think it's a lasting narrative, and I'm excited to see where it goes, frankly.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think it's going to be battle of the fittest AI agent in the future. And the ones that can't perform well, it's going to be very well known, because the ones that can perform well, they're going to be sitting at the top of the totem pole running numbers, especially after this most recent pullback subsides and kind of fades away. Real quick, you mentioned just recently, you just kind of briefed over it real quick, but the team, can you kind of openly talk at all about the team behind Kosher Capital, what your background is a little bit? Just, you don't have to pick it apart too in detail, but maybe scratch the surface a little bit.
Yeah. So our team, we have about 6 people right now. We've kind of been together. So I've been building in Web3 for about 4 or 5 years. It's funny, my first application that I built was actually on Terra V1 under Do Kwon. Ironically enough, right? We built an arbitrage. I built an arbitrage platform there. Launched it. 3 months later, Terra collapsed, right? So I lost like 90% of my runway. But we learned a lot, right? Learned a lot. I've launched an L1 in the Cosmos, a couple NFT projects, right? I've launched DEXs in the Cosmos. I launched a DEX on Osmosis, on Injective. So I've probably been involved in half a dozen or so crypto projects on various levels in the past 4 years. The team are people that I've kind of gathered and sifted throughout the years. We have a smart contract lead, we have an agent lead, a front end lead, a marketing guy, graphics guy, but all fairly good relationships. It's not like we're just hiring strangers off the street. We do have some unique connections in the AI space with names and projects that but I just can't name drop them because there's no official partnerships and no official relationships. You know what I mean?
I feel that it's just like an interconnected web kind of behind the scenes.
Yeah, but basically our AI lead, Rabbi Shlomo, he's one of the most advanced AI agents out there functionality wise. And our AI lead works, he also works with some of the premier AI projects in crypto that you all know. You all know the name, right? So we'll just leave it at that.
For sure. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. I knew that you could only scratch the surface, but that's kind of why I wanted to make the follow connection to Google. That's kind of what I was bringing up. Like, there's no intermediate connection there, but follow partner with Google back in the day, you should kind of be paying attention. It's the same thing with the team behind the scenes from previous calls that I've been on with you guys. I've picked apart. Like, you kind of scratch the surface a little bit, and I'm like, okay, there's some serious people behind the project. You should be paying attention. Just because they can't name drop doesn't mean anything. It's time to pay attention to detail. Last but not least, I think that's really all I had for you guys today in terms of questions. Unless Aqua had anything, maybe kind of just talk freely about anything that you see in the pipeline coming up. Any paradigm shifts that you see in the AI agent niche that are on the forefront or on the horizon that you think people aren't paying enough attention to right now. Kind of maybe just wrap it up in a nutshell, and then we'll kind of end it there with where people can find you at. And we'll wrap this call up. This was a really good call today, unless Aqua has anything else.
Nah, well, you know what? I have one question here, and we can wrap it up here. Your digital gold fund, which is really awesome, by the way. I haven't seen too many white papers that have this in their white paper. But what I noticed is that there was 35% BTC, 25% AI infrastructure, 20% stable coins, 10% AI agents, and then 10% speculation. Are those, so like the 10% speculation, what are you able to speak on that? Like, what?
I should probably take that out of the white paper, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Those were that was kind of an initial framework that we gave to Rabbi, right? But he can do whatever he wants with the money. Like I said, right now he's 85% in stable coins, right? So, okay. That was just a breakdown that we kind of came up with just to give it a little bit of training wheels in the beginning. Here's kind of how we see this fund being broken down and allocated. But the bottom line is he's an autonomous agent. He manages the fund. We don't touch it. You know what I mean? So he's 85 in stables right now. you know what I mean?
Then this is on base too. So he's managing this on base, correct?
This is on base chain.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Correct. This is on base. Yeah. What I would say to wrap up, if it's okay, if you guys don't have anything else.
Yeah.
Some exciting developments, just touch on the roadmap and where we are at currently, right? So we are about to go live with our beta, trying to get it live today. Might not happen today. We'll see. But we're right there. We're right there on the beta where 20 to 25 of our community members will be able to actually launch funds, real funds, not test funds, with real capital, deploy agents, right? Every agent, I think somebody asked this before, but every fund launches an agent through Follow Network in a TEE. That's a fork of Rabbi Shlomo. So it's a stripped down version. It doesn't have his personality, but it has his functionality, right? It has the trading functionality and the fund manager functionality and the data. And they program in, you're this kind of trader. You're a breakout trader. You're a momentum trader. You focus on, RSI and MACD. You focus on mind, right? And you program your own strategy and everything, but it's a fork of Rabbi. So anyways, we're about to go live with our beta. Could be today, could be this weekend, where a set of our community members will actually be able to use the product, use the launch pad, launch their own fully AI hedge funds managed by their own custom agents. They'll give us feedback, and we'll refine the product from there before we go live to the broader public. But it's a very exciting step for us. It's basically our unveiling, our coming out party. And you guys happen to pick the day, right, that we're ready to launch here. So it's a big milestone for us. We're excited. It's launch day, so to speak, right?
So congratulations, huge milestone.
Yeah, thank you, appreciate it.
So this was a really great call. I appreciate your time, Adam, for tapping in with all the questions here. Like I said, guys and gals, head over to their X account, give them a follow, read their white paper, do some thorough research on them. Again, I'm not telling you guys to go out there and gather up the digital asset shekel or anything like that, or use this platform. But, we're in the midst of a massive transformation where things are shifting, both in the AI agent niche and in the crypto niche in general. And if you're not keeping up with the moving times, taking advantage of these innovations, these innovative technologies that will be a part of the future financial system, whether it's, AI agents are helping you order groceries in the future. They're helping you manage your portfolio. They're helping you manage your social media account. AI agents, to some degree, will for a fact be a part of the future financial system. And you should be tapped in, at a minimum, at least understanding what they're capable of and how to start implementing them in your day-to-day lives or your strategic investment scheme. And Kosher Capital, if you're new here and you just tapped into the call, again, hit the rewind button, listen to some of the insights that Adam from Kosher Capital delivered, because this was really good alpha in my personal opinion, and just gave me a little bit more of a better long-term, broader perspective as to what you guys are doing. So Adam, I really appreciate your time, man. If you want to stick around real quick, after I hit the end live stream button, we can just chat it up for just a second. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys. I appreciate you all for tapping in. 1,245 people on the call right now. So yeah, really appreciate you guys this Friday. Aqua, you got anything for everybody?
Nothing, man. Just much love to everybody tapped in. And yeah, next week we'll be back at it. And the week after that, we'll be back at it. We got some pretty big people coming on the show. So tap in with us.
Adam, man, appreciate your time. You got
Thank
anything
you,
for
guys.
the
It was a pleasure. Really enjoyed it. Great conversation.
Yeah,
sure,
thank
brother.
you, Adam. Appreciate
Yep.
you, brother.
Yep.
All right, guys, everybody take it easy. Make sure that you smash that thumbs up button and subscribe if you guys are listening to the recording on YouTube. And I'll see you guys in the next video breakdown.